Air portrays one of the most critical moments in the history of sports shoe giant Nike, which elevated it from being a company well known for its excellent running shoes to one famous for its basketball shoes, the Air Jordan series. Its cast is impressive, but the format has a familiarity to it that both helps and hinders this biopic. But before I get further into it, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and switching on notifications, as it really helps us out. Air follows the story of Sonny Vaccaro, who led footwear company Nike to its most profitable investment ever, the basketball star Michael Jordan. It is the 20th collaboration between dynamic duo Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, either in front of or behind the camera. This is a film you've probably seen before, one that celebrates corporate types that make risky financial decisions based on their intuition and/or their exceptional expertise in the field that they're in. Air is to basketball what Moneyball is to baseball, The Big Short is to the American mortgage market, and The Social Network is to Facebook. There's no shortage of films about the ruling financial forces of Western society. Indeed, recently a film called Tetris was also released on Apple TV+ about Hank Rogers, who was responsible for bringing the now famous game to the mass market. These success stories work wonderfully in retrospect, and we certainly don't get a lot of films about the almost and could-haves of business failures. This film's interest rests heavily on Michael Jordan's shoulders, despite his lack of physical presence in the film, which I will get to. You may not like the sport or the shoes, but you know that his name carries a lot of weight. These biopics do come with their own challenges, in particular how to create a sense of conflict and peril when a happy ending is guaranteed and often the audience already knows what happens. Usually this is done by interrupting the big picture with mundane human moments, and it's in those moments that Air really shone for me. For example, Rob explains to Sonny that losing their jobs won't affect Sonny as much as him because he could lose the already shaky relationship he has with his child. Sonny's heartfelt apology, beautifully played by Matt Damon, acknowledges that he's at fault, and the small cupcake-shaped birthday party that he throws for Rob then re-establishes the balance and reminds us of the trust that these two have for one another. Other moments include near the beginning, where they explain the harrowing inspiration behind the "Just Do It" slogan, a detail many audience members might not know. The feeling of learning something new through cinema is always welcome and quite satisfying, and it is often what makes me wary of films that are based on true events that stray too far from the truth. I thoroughly enjoyed the banter in Air, which was brilliantly written, especially between Sonny and Jordan's agent David Falk. The juxtaposition of Falk's threats with Sonny's infectious glee was very entertaining. On the other hand, the team's need to undercut Phil Knight's calming, breathing technique was a little exaggerated, but it didn't ruin Sonny's solo questioning of Phil and whether the Dalai Lama also has a grape-colored Porsche. One of the most intriguing decisions made was to not show Michael Jordan's face, apart from in archival footage. The young actor playing him is often filmed from the back, and I think he has a single line in the whole film. This certainly reinforces the mystical position of the athlete in sports history, but it plays quite weirdly in what was otherwise a naturally, be it erratically shot film. Once again, it works in retrospect of the events, but definitely makes the point that this is not a Michael Jordan biopic. But judging by the success of King Richard, which is about tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams and predominantly their father, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Jordan family biopic in the future. But let me go back to the erratic nature of this film. The editing is fast-paced, led by a camera that frequently flies around the room during ensemble conversations, and pulls shallow focus from one person's nose to another in shots that had some rather edgy framing. Curiously, when I watched the film in an early screening in the theatre near me, there were a lot of times where the characters' heads were cut off in the frame. At first I thought the cinematographer must have seriously messed up, but then I saw that Robert Richardson worked on this, one of only a few people to have won the Oscar for cinematography 3 times, and someone who's worked with Quentin Tarantino and Martin Scorsese. I very much suspect that something went wrong with the projection of this film in the theatre I was in, as I couldn't find a single review complaining about this. So I hope that it's not something that will ruin your enjoyment of the film, but I thought it worth mentioning, as it was deeply distracting at some points, especially in the scene between Chris Tucker and Matt Damon, where I was missing dialogue. My point is that the environment in which you watch a film can deeply affect the experience of it, in my experience. Whether it's a full theatre or an empty one can make or break a comedy. Whether you're watching a Nolan film on an Apple Watch or, as he intended, in an IMAX theatre can be the difference between hearing the dialogue and not. That aside, overall, Air is a fun origin story of a shoe that served its purpose pretty well, with a range of acting pedigree on show. For me, it's ultimately quite forgettable against the slew of similarly paced biopics about clever investments, even with the 80s pop culture montages and mystical sports star presence. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe and switch on notifications so you don't miss future videos, and comment below with your thoughts on the film. For more film content, feel free to follow us on Twitter, Letterboxd, and TikTok. Links in the description. We have also recently started a podcast that is available on most podcast platforms, and you can watch the live recordings of those on this channel. Currently a collection of reviews of the Academy Award Best Picture nominees, excluding the ones I had already reviewed. Thank you for the continued support, and apologies for my lack of normal reviews on this channel recently, as I am in the middle of making a short film, but I should be back with my fortnightly reviews in May. With that said, this has been Tea Break Film Reviews. My name's Michelle, and I hope you have a great day.